And now for this one. That can't be possible. That is impossible. Which do-it-yourself aquarium lid is best? Well, today we're going to find out. However, before we find out, I must tell you the story that led to the reason I must discover the answer. You see, on top of the Piranha aquarium is a polycarbonate wave panel. Wave for obvious reasons. These are typically used in greenhouses. It's also on top of the 2000. However, if we come over here and on top of the 700, we have the double wall or twin wall polycarbonate panels. Twin wall for obvious reasons. The wave panels I first introduced to you guys about 11 or 12 years ago, while these twin wall panels maybe closer to 9 or 10 years ago, giving you alternatives to aquarium lids because they, well, are annoyingly expensive. You just got your aquarium, you just bought your fish tank, you probably bought it bare, or maybe you got to add a bunch of stuff, then you need the filter, then you need the gravel, then you need the fish, then you need the plants or the aquarium decorations, etc. And the last most annoying thing is, of course, the aquarium lids. Now, for the most part, we always buy these glass lids on hinges and whatnot, and they are annoyingly expensive. So I was trying to come up with different alternatives for you, and in doing so, we introduced you guys to the two most popular types of aquarium lids in the aquarium hobby. I have yet to see many aquariums without these types of lids on them. There's pros and cons to both. We should talk about both of them. But before we get to that, this started with my Piranha aquarium. I never really did planted fish tanks, and I never really did any aquariums, for the most part, when I introduced you guys to this, into any type of aquariums that really needed light penetration. I want the fish to look cool, I need the lights to penetrate the tank, but other than that, I technically don't care. My biggest priority is, outside of make everything look good, cut down on humidity, and fish jumping out. And these were really cheap alternatives. However, when it came to the Piranha tank, I noticed plants were kind of stagnant in growth. I talked to my friend at Aquascape Room Canada or aquascaperoom.ca, and he said, I wonder if it's the lids that are reducing the par on this tank, especially with the wave type design. He said, maybe it's bouncing around. I thought to myself, yeah, that's genius. I'm not sure if those are the best lids for that tank, or I should switch to something else. And there's only one way to find out, and that is to buy a par meter, which is going to measure the photosynthetic active radiation, essentially a measurement of the amount of light in an aquarium that plants can use for photosynthesis. This is the little sensor, which is going to sense the amount of light, and this is the meter. Sorry if I triggered you saying the word photosynthesis. I also hated school, and when we had to talk about that stuff, it was just a game of memorization, and I hated those words. But now I really need to know about it. Because on this tank are wave type polycarbonate panels, and on this tank is that twin wall stuff. And this tank is being switched to a fully planted Asian arowana aquarium, and I need this to work. Are these the right lids, or are these the right lids? Now, I'll be abundantly honest. Initially, I took all the lids off and I measured my par, and it spiked to where I needed it to be. However, within 24 hours, my relative humidity in the aquarium gallery jumped by 20%. A lot of people say, you should do an open top 2000. This is only 500 square feet with over 4,000 gallons of water. The aquarium gallery has existed for 7 years, and if I allowed all aquariums out here to simply have no tops, I can't imagine the mold and destruction we would have, especially being here in Canada, because let me show you something. A lot of the times, and you can't really see it out here because of the lights, but because just the door opening and closing, watch me. Well, it's actually warm outside, so we're not getting that big burst of vapors going outside, but just opening and closing the door causes a lot to come inside, and all that humidity kind of builds up, causes mildew. We don't want that out here. Even with this metallic looking pipe there, that's for my air exchanger. It's a heat recovery ventilation system. It's rated for 3,500 square feet. My house isn't even 3,500 square feet. My house and the aquarium gallery are not even 3,500 square feet. But this thing, if the tanks aren't covered, struggles to keep up with keeping humidity at levels that are livable out here. But because if you don't know, I heat the aquarium gallery. I don't heat the aquariums. 4,000 gallons of water and 500 square feet-ish. It's more cost effective to heat the gallery than all the tanks. But now that we're down to just a few, we're really gonna dive into, am I doing the right thing still? Or should I calculate how many aquarium heaters I need versus how much that heat pump is using in electricity? We're gonna be calculating a lot of stuff and deep diving here shortly. But the humidity out here right now is around, on any given day, it's 50% right now, but it's between 45 to 50%. The ambient temperature being 24 to 26 degrees Celsius, and we use the aquariums like the greenhouse effect, where a lot of the times they'll hold 50-gallon drums of water in there that heat up during the day and kind of disperse heat at night so that you have a continuous even temperature. All of this kind of works the same. Sometimes it's more cost effective to heat the room and not the aquariums, but you need a lot of gallons and a lot of aquariums. And sorry for getting into that rant, but we're going to find out exactly if we're still making the right decisions. With that said, let's start with the pros and cons to a do-it-yourself aquarium lid. First and foremost, dirt cheap. These twin wall polycarbonate sheets typically come in 8 feet long by 4 feet wide sheets. You can't really cut it with scissors, but you can score it with a knife on either side of the twin wall areas and kind of just snap it apart or break it. They're easy to drill. You can kind of make them incredibly accurate. They're slim and low profile. They kind of look like a lid. The downside that I don't like about them is the longer you have them, water's gonna get in there. I don't care who you are. Water's gonna get in here. What happens with water and warm, with the light beaming down, water filled with bacteria, and nitrates and stuff, you could potentially have dark spots and algae grow on it. They do need relatively a lot of care compared to the wave style. However, in my opinion, they are probably the most. They're better at evaporation because we could put them flat down on the aquarium. We can cut them to be more accurate to the top of your tank. They definitely look more professional. We can even use them as aquarium baffles in your aquarium sumps. But per sheet in Canadian dollars, or Monopoly money, that Americans like to call it, $100 per sheet, which is relatively expensive. Downside to them, I would prefer to use these just because they look better and they're pretty rigid. Oh, indestructible. However, we tried them on the 2000 before and they don't have enough rigidity to go across even 7 feet. They bow too much, and by bow too much, I mean they start touching the water. It looks absolutely ratchet. And that's why I went with the waves on here. However, I'm going to, well, we can look over at this tank. This is my electric eel. Oh, the light's not on it. We put it over here. It just looks better. Now, as for the waves, that's the first thing we're going to look at. Because if you just set them on top of your aquarium, look at the amount of evaporation. So the Oscar aquarium is getting upgraded to those twin cell ones, simply because there's no plants in here. But these guys are also indestructible. Relatively clear, easier to clean. You don't have to deal with anything getting into the twin, in between it. You can bend them, store them, they'll pop right back into place. Also indestructible. I like these because we can just grab a pair of regular scissors. Don't do it from the kitchen because I do it all the time and I never bring them back and I get in trouble every time. However, these are also incredibly cheap and they go across large spans of surfaces, and that's largely because of the wave action, almost like a bridge type of deal. They can't go this way, like even 2 feet, it's bending. I'm not doing that, that's bending. But this way and this way, I've done it over 7 feet and they don't kind of buckle in. So I like that. Downside is humidity issues. Lets a lot of water outside of all of these kind of little waves. Which one do you think lets in more light though? We need to cover my tanks out here. I need to make sure that the piranha tank has the right lids on it, and I pray and I hope that these lids don't let as much light in because I'd love to replace them. But if these are better, then I have to switch out the 700, which is fine because an 8x2 sheet, which these come in, only cost me about 25 bucks. These are half the cost of the twin cell. And this is the aquarium that we're going to do it on. This is a common 15-gallon aquarium. The light is just a 30-watt Amazon light. We're not even going to mention the brand because this is just the control. I knew that when I put the sensor at the bottom of the tank, and that's where it's going to stay, in the exact center, in the best position where I got the most power, at the bottom of this little tank, I don't need to know anything else. I'm just testing the lids. I don't care how great this light is. We were getting a power of over 70, which is fantastic for even the most demanding lights. We're really just aiming for a power at the substrate in all these tanks of around 50. Once I filled it with water though, and that's something you have to consider, is like you might have a great light and it might get great power in a bare aquarium. However, once I filled it with water, we were getting closer to that 50 mark. Closer to 60, so we lost about 10 power or something like that just from having water. The first lid that everybody has is a glass lid. Now watch this. This is actually diabolical. Wasn't a fan of this at all. Put this on, come over and take a look at the power meter. And the power meter is now reading 11. 10.7. You're not going to grow plants at that. Even the lowest demanding plants need a power of around 20. Why is that? The black hinge directly down the center. So I say we remove that black hinge. So now let's put the black hinge at the back so it doesn't obstruct the light. The handle's there, but that's not going to make a massive difference. And now we're looking at a power of around 50. So the glass doesn't obstruct too much, little bit. However, with a glass lid, I'd still get enough light to the plants. This is what we're after. Not everybody can afford or source these glass lids. More people that I know, as fellow DIY fish keepers, use these. Power meter is currently reading 55.7. This is what I'm after. It's a little dirty, water stains on it, etc. But your tank has them too. We just want to hold it flat. We went to 50. .1, 50.8, etc. Joe's back up. So we lost 5 power. Does that mean on your 24-inch deep tank, you're going to only lose 5 power? No. We're just seeing which lets in more light than the other. And now, for this one. That can't be possible. That is impossible. This is a joke, right? Okay. I wish I had more hands. Okay. I'm just gonna use my phone to light this up because I can't see it, but. So without anything on it, we're looking at 55.5 power. Watch this. This is crazy work. I'm not doing anything, same power, or same power meter. You see that? It jumped up to 60. Is that a joke? 60. I'm going to hold it there real time. Boom, lid is off. It dropped back down to the 55. Oh, wow. Wow. This must be bouncing the light around and shining it through more. Not only are we cutting down on humidity, not only are we saving money with an instructable light, but we are increasing the amount of light our lights are producing for our plants. Okay, calm down a little bit, Joey. Let's test this little bit more before we make these judgments, and I did that night. Here's what actually happened. I decided I'd circle back, and I'm not getting the same readings every time. I'm just gonna have to show you guys. Right now, the power meter is reading at 53.4. It's right there. Watch this. This is interesting. 53.4. Toss it on. 54.6. Wait for it. Let's flip it. 50. Take it off. Remember what it was? 53. So this way, it reduced the power. This way, it did not. Let's go this way. Turn it all the way around. There you have it. It's getting up to that 60, increasing it, going back down to 52. Flip it this way, 54. I don't know if it has anything to do with dirt or dust or anything like that, but it's definitely increasing the power, and I'm doing nothing different. That's wild. I don't know. This is just a silly little control test, one little light, 15-gallon tank, 12 inches of water. We looked at it without water, with water. That probe never moved. We looked at it with the lid, without the lid. It had more power with the lid. We lost power with this lid. That is incredible. So obviously I didn't want to get ahead of myself, and I decided I'm going to need a second opinion. I made a quick video of my discovery or what I was going on that night, and made it for the members only of the channel so they could see it first, so I could have somebody to discuss it with. And some of them said those double walls are built for greenhouses and absorb more light than other types. They will all filter UVB to almost zero, but will let UVA pass through. That double wall will also collect more ambient light from your room than the other lights. The double wall stuff makes greenhouses warmer too. All of that kind of makes sense to me. I don't know. I'm sharing these comments because you guys might not be able to read them, and you might want to like help fact check and or discuss this as well. Another one says, I believe what is happening is the light without a lead or glass will go through the tank at angles spreading from the light. The double wall lid is causing the light to be directed downward more and less at an angle. Which I guess I could say that I probably would kind of agree with that, because I noticed that if the top of the tank was rippling, the power was going down. I think that's what they might be talking about as well. Acting more like a very bad laser where the light goes all in one direction instead of scattering. Essentially, the double wall lid is making the light more like laminar flow of light, or polarizing it, if that makes any sense, instead of being turbulent scattered. And then somebody else said, is it not taking the other light from the fish room and somehow throwing it in the tank? I'm just thinking with you. I would have guessed the double wall lids would have been worse. And that's kind of what I thought as well. And then somebody finally said, It's just basic science. It's all about reflection. So I'm certainly glad that I kind of ran this past other people and got their opinions, because I got to admit that once I started to see these numbers, I thought I had discovered gravity, thinking these are the super lids. And do they refract more light? Probably under certain circumstances, maybe based on the brand or how they were built, or et cetera, et cetera. I think it's certainly going to come down to a scenario and situational type thing where depends on the tank, the light, the type of light. I'm not entirely interested in testing these against absolutely every type of light, whether it's fluorescent, LED, halide, etc. But what I will be doing is testing these lids on each aquarium individually based on the situation, the positioning that they are in the gallery, as well as the actual lights that are on it, and see which lids for planted tanks are giving it more light as opposed to not. But if it's fractional, if it's only like 5 par, I don't really see myself choosing one lid or the other. I just thought this was actually interesting, and I've never seen anybody talk about this or do anything like that. Obviously, we all know that when you put anything above your aquarium, it's going to lower the amount of light getting through and the penetration of light through to your plants. However, for me, when it comes to the 700, I think I'm going to stick with the double wall. Between you and me, I think I'm just going to clean them a little bit better, and or just buy brand new ones because I need that tank to grow. I've got 3 months. I have a 3-month deadline, literally. I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about here in a future video. And when it comes to the 700 or the 16 foot, I want to switch up to the double wall as well, just cut down on humidity, especially the Oscar tank. Is like, look, you can even see the lids lifting up and waving. And I think that the difference between glass lids and those wavy lids, the difference in like 2 par or something, it's not that big of a deal. As for the 2000, it's just too big of a tank. I need to have those wave lids, and I think what this is going to come down to, it's definitely going to be situational for you guys. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to film this for you guys on my phone because my camera doesn't want to work anymore. It's going to be situational whether you can find these types of lids, whether you have the budget to buy, whether you want to get glass or the double wall or the wave stuff. It's all going to come down to if it's even available. I know some people got to buy this stuff online. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Should I continue to keep testing this? Do you guys want more videos like this? This was just like a one-off type thing where I just was curious. But if you want more controls, more different types of lights, more water depths, etc., I'd be definitely open to doing so. But let me know what you think was going on with that double wall position that one way that really boosted the power by like 10. I would love for that to happen on all the tanks. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Buy a cheaper do-it-yourself lid and you get better lights out of it. Would be awesome. But of course, I had to share it with the members only just to get some ideas. However, I'd love to get your guys' as well. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And more importantly, if you want to see more videos like this, even if it's just like a quick and dirty one like this, I do things all day, every day. This is what I do. I tinker out in the aquarium gallery. And if you want to come tinker with me, if you want to come tinker with Joey, let me know in the comment section below. See you in the next video.